All right, so everyone knows what happened at the end of the Duke-UConn game. First item to get to is that I think Cayden Boozer made the right play to pass the ball ahead and not hold on to the ball to get fouled. Of course, the execution of the pass resulted in a turnover and eventually a game-winning three-pointer for UConn. But let me just say this. I never had close to the talent of a Division I basketball player, but I've played basketball my whole life. And the highest level I ever reached is at JUCO. But the point is, every coach I ever played for, they basically said, once you beat the defense after the initial trap in a known foul situation, then essentially you play keep away. The defense is not in a typical press defense. They are in a must foul defense, meaning that defense is easily out of position and chaotic. The defense is now chasing instead of playing defense. Hence, I was always taught, with the defense basically running like a chicken with his head cut off, just move the ball around, run down the clock as the defense is in a bind, thus creating many open teammates. And that's like what happened with UConn, as they could not foul Cayden Boozer after the inbounds pass. Boozer passes them back to, I think it was Sarr, who was the inbounder, and now the defense is now scrambling, frantically running, trying to foul someone, frantically running, trying to foul Sarr. So then Sarr, he finds a wide open Cayden Boozer near half court. And because of all this chaos and UConn out of position, there were two wide open Duke players on their end of the court. But only if Cayden Boozer could have just passed it a little bit higher, we're not talking about this. We're talking about time running out or an easy bucket for Duke on the other end. The point is, I was always taught this in the situation, to pass the ball, run down the clock, run the clock out. I think Cayden Boozer, he made the right decision to pass it. But unfortunately for Duke fans, the ending was not ideal. Now, this situation has happened numerous times in the past in the end of the game where players pass the ball around, avoiding a foul to run down the clock, or getting an easy bucket on the other end. And I would really like to hear what coaches teach their players in this situation, what other coaches have to say about this situation. In fact, there's a clip of Shire while this last 10 seconds is running off, while this last 10 seconds is happening, as Shire is telling his players to get the ball up the court. So I think this was Shire's philosophy, is to get the ball up court. Do not hold the ball for a foul. And that's why I want to hear what other coaches have to say about the situation. Also, at the press conference, Shire was asked about the situation, and he didn't really go much in depth about what happened. So I don't want to get into all the people saying that, oh, Cayden Boozer should have just held on to the ball. Now, obviously, it's easier said than done. But I saw items like Cayden passed the ball because he got scared, which I don't think so at all. And also I heard stuff like if Boozer held on to the ball, since there was less than 10 seconds, he could have stayed in the backcourt and there wouldn't be a 10-second violation. Not understanding UConn is in a fouling situation. And then, of course, people saying Boozer passed the ball because the game is rigged. But basically, I just wanted to explain what I was taught. And also want to hear what other college coaches have to say. And also, this has happened so often where a team has run out the clock or gets an easy bucket at the other end of the court, avoiding the attempted fouls. But just now, numerous people are saying, oh, Cayden Boozer should have just held on to the ball. I don't know, that instance where UConn stole the ball, hit the three-pointer, that's like what, 1 in 1,000 chance? I don't know, but of course, very rare and very improbable.